personal Oprah that we have access to every single day. She is awesome. Hey guys, I'm just looking at this crowd. Some of you guys know I was a radio disc jockey for years. I wanted to be the next Howard Stern. I'm going to be, famous on the radio. And I ended up in this little town called Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, working midnight to 5 for $5 an hour in 1993, 20 years ago. A little older now. And I think there were more people in this theater that lived in that town, so I guess I finally hit my dream, right? This is awesome. Okay. Now, I'm doing a lot here today, guys, and some of you know that our story, my wife Melissa, I don't know where Melissa is, my amazing wife Melissa. We have only been in the Power Network a little over a year, and about this time last year, maybe 16 months ago, we had filed a personal bankruptcy, even though we had been successful online for years and years and years. But we kind of got off track along the way. I want to talk to you tonight about setting an intention so you don't have to go through getting off track like Melissa and I did. My goal for this presentation is that by the next event, anybody who here now has not made their first sale will go from $0 to $10,000. Would anybody like to hit that in the next 90 days? Now, where are the people in the room who have made $10,000 so far in the Power Network? At least 1 month. Where are you guys? Yeah. So how about you guys in the next 90 days to go to $30,000 a month? Anybody? Yeah. And so on and so on. So it all starts with a decision, setting your intention. Now, when Melissa and I came here to Empower Network, this is really funny. She was actually away, and I was home with just me and the computer and my 12-year-old son Tanner, and I was looking at this video and and I thought, you know what? I think we have just enough in the bank account to get started here, and maybe I can turn it around before Melissa gets home, and we can make the money back. And I hope we do, because the rent is due in 10 days, and if I don't make the money back, we could be out of the house in 15 days after that. So, I know some of you guys really went all out to get here to this event. Maybe you spent your last money to get here, thinking, I'm going to do whatever it takes, I'm going to go home and turn it around. So for you guys, I acknowledge you, because that's what it's all about. What I did was I got started. My sponsor is the amazing Tony and Jessica Rush. Let's give it up for Tony and you know what? When you can be yourself in a business for the first time, you don't have nothing to hide. You can just be yourself. And by doing that in today's world of social media, being on the internet and putting a video on YouTube and putting it on your Facebook account. Some of you guys know in the top 200 dinner we had earlier tonight, we learned that my friend Tony spends all day on Facebook just talking about whatever he can, because he only works an hour a day, so he has 10 hours a day to make posts on Facebook, and it's kind of funny. So I knew that about him, and I thought, well, it might take me a few hours a day to get this thing going. So we just got to work. And when you're coming from a place where you know that your sponsors are already making the money that you're looking to make, and that their sponsors, who happen to be the owners of the company, do you guys know that David Wood and David Sharp have their own Power Network business that they are marketing every single day, like each and every one of us? Is that the best badass thing you've ever heard? And anybody who's been in a company or a network marketing company before, we find out the owners maybe have never picked up the phone. Well, not picked up the phone, oh my gosh. Strike that, take that off the recording. So I'm just kind of going off track here. I learned this from David Wood. Just starts 3 or 4 stories and just keep going, and then you'll eventually finish up. That's how it works here, right? You make more money the more stories you tell when you leave unfinished. I learned that. So what's really cool is that I realized in the first week, okay, I'm going to have to deal with Melissa when she gets home. But in the meantime, I'm just going to get to work, because I know in front of me I've got people who are already doing what I can do in real time right now. And they're not, retired for 10 years, teaching me something that happened back in 1999. I can get to work right now, and we did. We turned it around. And the only thing I forgot about is that while you're trying to make the money, and it takes about 2 to 3 weeks used to actually get paid. So I actually wrote the check on the 1st of April to the landlord, thinking, great, the money's already in the account. I kind of forgot it wouldn't be there for another 10 days. So we ended up bouncing the check. But in the bigger picture, we also had our first breakthrough, and we made almost $5,000 in our first 5 weeks and got the ball rolling up the hill. And I'll tell you what, every day we just celebrated our success one day at a time. We set the intention. My intention every day was to increase my lead count by however many I had to do in order to make a sale. Start making a sale a day, one after the other, every single day. And it became normal because I saw the leaders. I saw Tracy Walker, I saw Tony Rush, and Lawrence Kim, and Chuck Marshall, and I know I'm leaving out some names, doing this already. And I just wrapped my energy around, what if I just follow directions for a change? And I want to talk about setting your intention. That's really the topic I'm supposed to be talking about. Setting your intention. Where can you go in the next 90 days? Because it doesn't matter where you are right now. It is irregardless of whether you totally screwed up, whether you're already having results and you want to take it to the next level, and you just want to actually go for it over the next 90 days. Who wants to go for it over the next 90 days? Thousands of people scream. It's just so energetic. It's awesome. So, I want to tell you about a story that happened to me in my life. When I was 26 years old, I was working at the radio station. I was making about $20,000 a year. I was driving my grandmother's Cadillac because I couldn't afford my own car. And I was wearing cheap suits and selling radio advertising. But I actually bought this course from a guy named Tony Robbins called Personal Power 2. And for the first time in my life, I got introduced to writing things down. And at that time, he said, what do you really want to have happen in your life? What do you want to have happen? And I realized the thing I wanted was, I wanted to have a vibrant family. I wanted to find a wife who I could grow with and share a life with, and have time with my kids, and have time and money together so we could travel, so we could find friends who are also on purpose. And lo and behold, I set that intention, I wrote it, and I read it every day, and within 6 months, I met Melissa Connect on the internet. Back in 1997, we were in America Online chat room. Has anybody else met anybody online, or is it just me? Anybody? Yeah! Now, when you got back in 1997, your family thought you were crazy, and they probably wanted to call the police to make sure you weren't like getting a stalker and all that stuff. But you know, I realized that wow, I did that, and here's the cool thing. I was unemployed. I just lost the radio job because they changed from like modern rock to rap, and I'm not exactly a rapper. So it was funny. So I was living at home with my parents. I was unemployed, and I don't think Melissa knew this at the time until she met me. She's like, "Oh, you live with mom and dad? What a guy!" But here's the cool thing: Melissa already had a home-based business on her own, but she was making, I don't know, $5,000 to $8,000 a month. Would you say something like that? And I thought, wow, how is she doing this? So I realized that she had surrounded herself with people who were already making the money that she could see herself making. And I realized, wow, I've got to learn from her. So I did that. We started working from home together. We haven't had a job since then, have we? It's been awesome. We haven't had a job since then. But we've done, I think, everything we do along the way. Now, we did a couple of things right along the way. In 2003, we were with the company, and I won't say the name of the company. There's a woman in the room, I know she's here somewhere. Her name is Shannon Lavinia. Shannon, are you out here somewhere? I don't know if she's here. Yeah, there she is, right there. She was making $100,000 in a month. And she was in Tucson, Arizona, and I was living in Bufu, Pennsylvania. Cold, freezing my rear end off. Like it was outside today. It was snowing, like January. And here she is on one of these wake-up calls, and she's saying, oh, here I am in my house. It's glorious. I love it. And you can do this too. And I thought, or as David would say, snap. I want to do that too, so how do we do that? And I got so motivated. Melissa and I both, we were so sick of the cold and the rain in Pennsylvania. We said, if we can make $100,000 in 6 months, we can move to Arizona and live our lives as Arizonians, and the winters can be summer, and we'll live prosperously and all of that. And we did that. We told everybody, they all thought we were nuts. And then we started aligning ourselves with our mentors, with John and Shannon back there, with other we started having results one step in front of the other because every single day we followed the steps and we hit that goal. Now, I will say this, we kind of forgot to set goals after that. We were so happy for a while. And a similar thing happened to us again. That's why we ended up filing bankruptcy. I know some people in the room have totally screwed up financially. If you have, you don't have to raise your hand. But if you do, that's cool. So it's not just me. But you know what? It's time to release that once and for all, because I think every single leader that you'll see on the stage this weekend has gone through some sort of personal and or financial tragedy, and they've done crazy things to get back on their feet because they had a dream, they had a vision. And I got realigned with that goal last year around this time, when I realized that my son Tanner, who was 11 at the time, my older kids, Josh and Olivia, were 19 and 22, and I realized, man, you know what? If Dad doesn't finally pick up the ball and start to run and have success, what kind of legacy am I leaving for them? So what we did, the other thing I forgot to tell you was that when we started with the Power Network, I told the entire family. And when you have kids in the house, it's amazing how much you remember. You guys understand? You can tell your kids like, hey, we're going to go to Disney World in 90 days if we do this. Does any kid ever forget that, right? So when we tell Tanner that we're going to start making money, we're going to be able to travel and do things again, it was awesome because I had an accountability partner in my 11-year-old son. Because who's not going to do whatever it takes for as long as it takes? So in setting your intention, guys, you've got to find somebody who's going to hold you accountable, and it's got to be yourself. Now, I would recommend that you share with your family, share with your empowered friends here at Empower Network, your mentor, your sponsor, somebody who's making more money than you. And I'll tell you what, it's so flippin' simple. If you follow those 8 simple principles that we teach every single day and go through that, and hold yourself accountable. You know, put a little notebook or a whiteboard in your office, and when you get home, day 1 through day 90, when we meet again in July somewhere, I think we're meeting in July, when we do that, and just go home and do it, guys. I mean, think about what can happen. The people who raised their hand and said, I want to go from 10,000 to 30,000. Think about what that would mean for your lifestyle. Think about what that would mean if once and for all, we all lock arms in the room here, and we agree to hold ourselves accountable. Because the person you're sitting next to you right now, just look at the person to the left, look at the person to the right of you right now, and make a decision that you're going to check in with each other 90 days from now. Okay? 90 days from now, where exactly do you want to be? You know, write it down, share a phone number. You know? It might be kind of fun to do that. I think it would be really fun to do that, especially if 90 days from now we check in with each other and see who followed through. So if you're going to follow through on that, say aye. All others? So, in closing, guys, my time is winding down here real fast. I can talk all day. I'd love to do that. But the message for today is this. If you can live the rest of your life living the way you want to, and not because your boss wants to, or your wife, or your kid, because the way you want to, if you can become that leader and put yourself from $0 to $30,000 within the next 90 days, and what if it took you the next 9 months? Would that still be okay? And when would you stop if it took you 9 months? Would you stop along the way? Never. Because the thing I think about every day is, what if I had given up? What if, you know, when Melissa and I, when we hit the ripcord of our finances in December of 2011, we seriously thought about getting back to work and taking jobs. And all I could think about was, I'll never get out of this if I go back to that world. But what if? What if I could be just a little bit like Tony and Jessica Rush? What if I could be a little bit like David and David? What if I could be a little bit like Lawrence Tan? And just follow this system and maybe make a tenth of what they were making at that time. Tony and Jessica made $34,000 the month I joined. And they haven't made anything less than it since, so they're qualified to lead. And that's what we want, guys. We want to follow people who are qualified to lead. So when you look out there on the internet and see all these crazy, phony balonies out there who made money 10 years ago, I want you to remember this. In this room, on this stage this weekend, you're going to see an entire group of people who love to serve. And there's no better group than David and David right here. And I'll tell you what, I will do whatever it takes for as long as it takes to help everybody in this room to have the success that they came here to have. And you know what? We can lock arms here. Every year we go with a bunch of pieces then you too can be on stage. Who wants to be on stage for the next event? You know, I just want to thank you guys. I love you so much. here, and it's been the world for me, for you. No, anyway. I'm really excited. So,